Stop losing money. Stop outsourcing your business. Hey everyone, it's Wolfgang. This is a pretty important video. I know a lot of people who make this mistake. There are certain critical skills that your business needs to thrive, and they need to be in-house. Some companies outsource these. So I'm going to go through a couple of examples of common things that companies outsource that they should not outsource. The whole idea is there's this question, buy versus build. Should we buy the, whatever it is we need, the skill, the talent, maybe it's a system, or should we build it in-house? There are certain critical business skills that you would be foolish to outsource, but some companies do. And one of the things that makes it easy to outsource is there are agencies who will do critical business functions for a monthly retainer fee. And it can be very tempting to say, I'm not going to hire anyone, I'm going to outsource this, right? A lot of software companies did that starting around the end of the 90s when the dot-com bubble burst. A lot of software development went offshore. And what they found was the quality sucked, the logistics of communication sucked, ideas got stolen, critical business intelligence went outside the company doors and got spread around to the world out of the control of the company. So there are certain critical business skills that should be in-house, that should not be outsourced. As an example, if you think about sales funnel optimization, a sales funnel is shaped like a funnel at the top. Everyone who responded to your lead generation, your advertising, your social media, etc. Everyone who initially responds is at the top of the funnel. They descend into the funnel, and at the bottom, they convert to a sale. So it's a large number of people at the top, a much smaller number of people at the bottom. Sales funnel optimization is a skill that should be in-house that sometimes gets outsourced. The idea is optimize how that funnel is working so that you're not losing sales. I mean, if you're spending money or time to create leads for the top of the funnel and you're not converting them to sales, you need to optimize your funnel. You need to look at where people are falling off. An example people are really familiar with is like an abandoned shopping cart. If you've ever gone to eBay or Amazon or Etsy and put some things in your cart and then abandon it because you saw something in the... Here's a common thing on Amazon. You'll see something that says free shipping, and then you'll get all the way to the end and they tack on shipping fees, right? And everybody abandons their cart. So that's an example of something that needs to be optimized. In Amazon's case, I don't know why they do that, but they do that. But in a sales funnel situation, your landing page is screwed up or your website is screwed up or there's something in the process where people show up, they like what they heard in your ad, but they bail out before they convert to a sale. Sales funnel optimization is designed to fix that. There are agencies you can hire on a monthly retainer to help you troubleshoot your sales funnel. Here's the problem. That agency is working with how many other clients? A lot of them, as many as they can, right? Because their business is to fix sales funnels for arbitrary companies. They don't care about your particular company. They're going to do the minimum possible to get paid. And there's the handshake of the communication from the agency to your company, the handshake of monthly communication. How much of that you really need to know are you getting? You're never really sure. If you have someone in-house, even if it's a part-timer, they are devoted to your company. You have a lot more control over that communication handshake. You can bring the person into your office and ask them 50 questions about what they're finding with your sales funnel. So how would you do this? How would you bring in-house sales funnel optimization? Step one, study how sales funnel optimization agencies work. There's a lot of information online of how they do it. They hire college students who are business majors. They pay them $50, a usability testing sort of situation. If you're not familiar with usability testing originated with software companies. That's the most common use, where someone would be hired for a half an hour or an hour of their time to test out a website. And then behind a double mirror, the company representatives would sit and watch the person to see where they stumbled on the code, on the website, or the program, and then fix what they found if they found any glitches. So agencies will hire college students. They'll use AI. They will have their own in-house people. You can do the same thing. Find out how an agency works, duplicate what they do, but keep it in-house. This is critical business skill. You should never outsource your sales funnel optimization. Never. I mean, in an absolute emergency where it's like do or die, the company's going to fail or something, I guess. But you can easily plan ahead and bring in critical business skills like funnel optimization in-house. You can hire a college student for a day, use AI, or hire a part-timer, just like the agency does. You should take the time to learn it and do it in-house. Okay, so another example, bookkeeping, accounting. The same problem. The handshake of communication, if you hire an outside bookkeeper, they're going to do the minimum possible to get paid because they have, how many clients do they have? 10, 50, 100? So how much information do you need from your bookkeeper about cash flow, about your accounts receivable, days sales outstanding? You could bring in, if you had someone in-house, you could bring your bookkeeper into your office and ask them 50 questions. And they could help you learn the bookkeeping function. Same with an accountant. You can bring someone part-time. I remember, it's been a while, but I had a friend who brought in a part-time CFO. It was a part-time CFO that was like 20 hours a week, came in and did the CFO job on a part-time basis. You can do something like that. It's much better to have that than to outsource your bookkeeping. The bookkeeping and accounting, those are the critical aspects of how your business is working. If you're hiring an agency, it's a mistake, okay? It's just a mistake. Hire someone part-time. You will learn more from someone who is in-house because they're devoted to you, they're devoted to your company, they're in your corner, and they're not looking at 10 to 50 other clients. So you want someone whose main focus is you, not a bunch of other clients. So even if this costs time and money, and again, we're talking about buy versus build here. Should I buy agency time and outsource, or should I build the skill in-house? So even if you build critical skills in-house and it costs you time and money, there's two things about that. Number one, an agency costs something anyways. The amount of time you spend interacting with the agency, the cost of the retainer. If you hire someone in-house, or if you duplicate what an agency does but have that function in-house, it's roughly the same money. And even if it's a little more expensive, it's still a write-off, and the additional information you get from an in-house person is worth it. It's much more valuable to have someone in your corner, devoted to you, who's on your side, in your company, and not an agency. So let me throw this real world example at you. If you're a parent, this will hit home. Let's say you have a 5-year-old and you have to leave town for some reason, and you have two choices for a babysitter. You can hire a vetted agency babysitter. In other words, you look online, babysitters, and they say, we vet all our babysitters. It's still a stranger, right? Even if they're vetted. And how good is the vetting, right? It's still a stranger coming into your home. Or would you prefer hiring a family member? The family member is in your corner, on your side, devoted to you and your 5-year-old. So if you can think about this example, because your 5-year-old's important, but so is your livelihood, your business, right? So I'm trying to drive home the point that in this particular buy versus build question, buy the agency babysitter or have a family member do it. You should understand why you chose a family member. It's the same with your business, because your business is just the food on your table. So here's another example of buy versus build. Let's say your lead generation is working. You're getting a lot of leads. You're doing, you have ads running. You have organic social media campaigns going. You're getting a good response from your lead generation. In other words, a lot of people are inquiring about what you're selling, but you're struggling to convert those to sales. You can hire an agency to fix your conversion rate optimization, or you can build the skill in-house. So again, it's basically, do we hire this? Do we build this skill in-house? Do we develop this skill, or do we outsource it? And there are some things you can outsource. Let's say you cater meals for your employees on at the end of the month or something. There's a regular periodic company gathering and you cater meals. You don't have to bring the cook in-house. You can outsource certain things. But what I'm saying is business skills, critical business skills like accounting, sales funnel optimization, conversion rate optimization, build those in-house. Those are critical business skills. It's worth it to spend the time and money to have that skill in-house. And I want to give you one last example that will drive this point home of how important, how much of a priority having these kinds of skills in-house, big companies view this, okay? Poaching. If you've ever heard or read reports of, company A is suing a competitor because the competitor poached employees from company A. Company A had in-house talent that was very valuable. They had very valuable skills. A competitor stole their employees and they got sued for that. So why would the competitor poach good employees? Because it's hard to develop the skill, perhaps, or because the employees are highly skilled and it's a very valuable value add to the business. It's in the case of the competitor, they're trying to steal, they're trying to buy talent and bring it in-house, but they're still bringing it in-house. So why do companies go to the trouble of suing competitors who have stolen their in-house skill? Because they realize how important the in-house skill is. You could certainly replace an employee on a temporary basis with a third-party outsourced agency or something, right? But if you have a very valuable in-house person, you tend to protect them. If you have a VP of sales, or a head of marketing that just that does a fantastic job and is in demand in the marketplace, you tend to give them good reviews, annual reviews. You tend to make sure their salary is sufficient, that they have perks, stock options. So if you're familiar with this poaching example, that's how big of an issue, how much priority large companies put on building instead of buying. They build these critical business skills in-house. They don't outsource it. When you start outsourcing things like babysitting or outsourcing critical business skills, you're actually taking a portion of your company and exposing it to the rest of the world. You have very little control over it, right? When you're out of town, what is your babysitter doing? Who knows? It's a stranger, right? If you're outsourcing your accounting and your bookkeeping, how good of a job are they doing, right? If you have it in-house, they're responsible. They're responsible to you. They can be held accountable if it's your employee. The only way to hold an agency accountable is to fire them and start over with another agency. So the whole point of this video is you're actually losing money by outsourcing critical business skills. And it's convenient. A lot of companies do this because it is convenient, like outsourcing software development. But if you're giving away all your trade secrets in your software just to get a cheap programmer, really think that through, because the country where the program is stealing your secrets. For example, China. If you want to build something in China, if you outsource stuff to China, like Apple has done, or Tesla, because China makes you give away all the trade secrets before you're allowed to conduct business there. Guess what they're doing with your trade secrets, right? So you are losing money in the long term by outsourcing. You're exposing critical stuff in your business to third parties that, if you think about it, the babysitter example, you'd much rather have someone who is in your corner, on your side, devoted to you, looking out for you, instead of a stranger. Okay, so enough said about this issue. I'm a little bit passionate about this because I know this is kind of a problem with some businesses. It's very tempting because agencies, it seems like it's cheap, it's convenient, but the amount of information you get from the handshake when the company submits their information on a weekly or monthly basis, you're not getting the full story, and you can't pull them into your office and give them the 50 questions treatment to find out what's really going on. So give this some thought. I hope this helps somebody. It may cost a little time, a little extra money to have it in-house, but it's totally worth it. And you can do it part-time, and it's a write-off. Okay, so thank you kindly, everyone, if you have any questions, you can post questions in the comments. I'll be happy to answer them. And I really want to thank everyone for watching, and have a great day.